Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutations to all the Akim out in the four corners, teaching the truth and sincerity. This is Tasha Kwama coming at you with a quick hit, from the GMS Dallas camp. You know, coming coming at you with a quick lesson, going into uh, these heathen roundabout, because right now Jerusalem's being compassed with armies, okay, and that's these other nations, just like in Psalms 83, they're trying to pull us down into this worldly mindset, to knock us off our swivel, all right? But we're going to do like we always do in time travel through these scriptures, and see what our forefathers of old did, and we're going to try to, show what they did and how they were delivered, and because we're hoping for the same, we're hoping to be, delivered out of Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay, so I'm just going to jump straight into the scriptures, and I'm gonna let the scriptures speak. Okay, so I'm gonna start here at Psalms 79. I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm just gonna read down, and if points come out, Baba Kushah, I pray this is edifying unto the hopeful elect. All right. So this is Psalms 79:1. It says, "O Yahweh, you know, the heathen have invaded your land." Okay, because Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Okay, and in that, Yahweh Shem Shai has set his hedge of protection, surrounding his people, which are the elect of the nation of Israel, the 144,000 and the 1/3. Okay, but I'll continue. It says, "They have, O Yahweh, the heathen have invaded your land. They have desecrated your holy temple and left Jerusalem in ruins." All right. It says they left the bodies of the people for the vultures. And this is in the GNTD. Salakia. I should have said that before. It says they have left the bodies of the people for the vultures, the bodies of your servants for wild animals to eat. All right, and those wild animals are considered heathen or other nations. All right, because they come and they devour the people. Okay, verse 3, it says uh, they shed your people's blood like water. The blood floweth or flowed like water all through Jerusalem. It says, and no one was left to bury the dead. Okay, so so they came in slaughtering. They came in uh, just running amok through um, Jerusalem, which is a people before it's a place. Okay, and it's the same thing that they're doing today. Okay, because they are playing on the minds of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negroid descent. Okay, and they are killing you, from a spiritual sense as well as from a physical sense. So that's the double straights, like it says in Exodus. We're in double straights, or judges. Salakia. Uh, I'll continue in verse 4. It says, the surrounding nations insult us. They laugh at us and mock us. Okay, that's what they do right now, because in this queendom, all right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are considered a laughing stock, and they have always been considered a laughing stock for this whole time that we've been in captivity here. All right, so uh, verse 5, yeah, it says, Yahweh, will ye, Salakia, it says, Yahweh, will you be angry with us forever? All right, because we transgressed the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh by Shemiah Shai. All right, that was our fault. Okay, and just like we didn't come here to live it up on this side, we came here to serve out of captivity. Okay, because we transgressed the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh by Shemiah Shai. Better yet, I'll get that Baruch. Slacking. I'll get that Baruch. Do-do-do. 1 second. Baruch, it's chapter 3, verse 7. It says, I think it's 3 and 8. Actually, I'll get it in the KJVA. It speaks it better. This is Baruch, chapter 3, verse 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquity of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh by Shemiah Shai, our power. Actually, in 4 and 6, and that's true too, because right now Jake is subject unto taxes, but it's not just regular tax; it's taxes on taxes on taxes. All right, because Esau wants to run you dry, as it says in that Sirach, I believe it's chapter 7, but I'll read this in Baruch chapter 4 verse 6. It says, I'll start at 5. It says, be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. It says, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved Yahweh Shemiah Shai to wrath, ye were delivered to the enemy. Okay, so with that, it puts a distinction on how these other nations that are around about our nation, that they're using them for commodities, for a come up, all right? Because every nation has has put forth their hand to the nation of Israel to get above them. Okay, I'll continue. Verse 7, it says, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils, and not Yahweh, and not to Yahweh. All right, it says, you have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. So you forgot, especially being in this captivity, because they beat it out of you. Okay, you forgot that Yahweh by Shemiah Shai brought you, up to be a king and to be a priest. But that's why we're here on this side, to rethink ourselves. to come back to the proper understanding. That's that Baruch chapter. I'm just gonna get it. Yeah, Baruch chapter 2, verse 33. It says, uh, well, I'll read it up. I'll start at verse 30. It says, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am Yahweh Shemiah Shai, their power. I will give them an heart and ears to hear." All right, because Yahweh Shemiah Shai is trying to jostle you awake, to show that He has only loved us. Okay, but all these heathen round about are set up for to pull us down and to keep us in that docile state of mind. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here in Psalms chapter 79. So like I know I'm all over the spot, but trust me, it'll come together. So Psalms chapter 79 in verse 5. It says, Yahweh, will you be angry with us forever? Will your anger continue to burn like fire? All right, because Yahweh Shemiah Shai is putting holy hell on the people because they transgressed the laws. All right, and they have shown that they are choosing not to, and these are the 2/3. They're choosing not to even honor Yahweh Shemiah Shai in all of His ways. Okay, so going back to the 6, it says, "Turn your anger on the nations that do not worship you." All right, on the people who do not pray to you. Okay, because at this time, Israel was still in communication with Yahweh Shemiah Shai. Okay, but in today's time, all right, the people have forgotten. All right, they have chosen, to live this lackadaisical life with the heathen. All right, and with that comes to their own destruction, because Yahweh Shemiah Shai is our Savior and He is our Redeemer. All right, and He's the one that we should turn to for help. But right now, the people are turning to Esau Edom, which is their number one enemy, for help. All right, and no, your enemy is not going to be, able to save you, in the times of Yahweh Shemiah Shai. All right, because right now we're in the time for Yahweh Shemiah Shai to begin to visit the world which He made. Okay, but I'll read 7. It says, For they have killed your people, they have ruined your country. All right, do not punish us for our or Slakia. It says, do not punish us for the sins of our ancestors. All right, because Yahweh Shemiah Shai is still putting everything in order. All right, judgment has to go out on the nation of Israel. Okay, because they chose not to follow the ways of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemiah Shai. That was a choice. They have pushed away the shoulder, or knocked away the hand. All right, because Yahweh Shemiah Shai has been offering salvation unto them, and since it didn't come in the miraculous fashion that they wanted it to, they didn't believe that it would ever come. Okay, So I'll continue reading. Verse 8, it says, do not punish us for the sins of our ancestors. It says, have mercy on us now. All right, we have lost all hope. So, and that goes to these other camps, all right, because they've lost all hope. They get how about Shemiah Shai? It's not coming back to redeem, all right, or to come back to save us from all this hell that's going on in today's time, just like it happened in the past time, okay. But now, Yahweh Shemiah Shai is working, like it says in that Psalms chapter 119 and 26. It's time for you, O Yahweh Shemiah Shai, to work, because they have made void your law, okay? And that's the whole encompass of the world. They haven't kept the law, all right? Because the heathen wasn't given the law, but yet they took hold of it and tried to be the people. But you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, y'all are the people, and y'all have turned into heathen because y'all forgot. Okay, but I'll go to 9. It says, "Help us, O Yahweh Shemiah Shai, and save us." All right, now that's towards the elect, you 144,000 and 1/3. Y'all are praying or crying out to Yahweh Shemiah Shai for saving, so like it first salvation. Y'all are crying out to Yahweh Shemiah Shai to be delivered from the hands of wicked men, Esau, Edom, and these other nations, because they're trying to push an agenda, all right, to keep you in servitude forever. All right. They want to encompass your soul, because they're going to try to, or they're going to put out that MOTB, and it's going to snare a lot of these 2/3 Jakes up, but the elect have seen it, either in dreams and visions, or, that they have seen it through the spirit and know exactly what it is. Okay. But continuing on, it says, uh, uh, verse 9, it says, "For help us, O Yahweh by Shemiah Shai, and save us, rescue us, and forgive our sins, for the sake of your honor," because the Most High has put his name, well, he puts his word above his name. All right. So he has said, what he's going to do, to deliver the nation of Israel, and now he's acting, all right, because he wants to glorify his name, all right. And how does he do that? By glorifying his people, okay. I'll continue on. Verse 10, it says, "Why should the nation ask us?" It says, "Why should the nations ask us, where is your power?" Okay, so they're asking us, where's our power? All right, it says, "Let us see you punish the nations and shedding the blood of your servant," because Yahweh Shemiah Shai is getting busy. He is knocking these heathen down a peg or two, all right? And it's ultimately going to happen whenever Yahweh Shemiah Shai pierces the clouds, okay? Because he's going to get busy for our account, or for our accord, all right? Because but this is a prayer that's being prayed, because this was during the time of the Babylonians coming down on Israel, back when. But it's the same, like in tandem in today's time, because Babylon the Great, aka America, is about to go balls to the wall, on Jake, which is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negroid descent. All right, because it started with Israel first, but Judah's going to get it the worst. And how they're going to get it the worst? Because they're comfortable, because they have been in a lackadaisical mindset to stay upon Esau, Edom for help. They have leaned on that broken reed, and that reed's going to pierce them in the hand. All right, so Yahweh Shemi Shai is bolstering, the armies, and the armies consist of us footmen, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negro descent, which are the prophets that are out here sighing and crying, because the Most High is going to reveal His secrets unto His servants, the prophets. Amos chapter 3 and 7, I perceive. But He's given the word to us to tell the people, this is about to go down. All right, and through our elders, from Abba Bivens on down, through Elder Apostle Tahar, through Elder Apostle Ramlab, Elder Apostle Rakah, Elder Apostle Gabar, all the way down to our camp heads, down to our officers, down to the soldiers, which are the footmen, to come out here and sigh and cry for all the abominations done in the midst thereof. Okay? So Yahweh Shemi Shai is making good His word. Okay? The same way he did it whenever those plagues came out in Egypt. It's the same way that He did it, over there whenever Yahweh Shai came on the scene in Rome. It's the same way that He's doing it here in America, which is Babylon the Great. Okay? He's getting busy, but first it's going to be spiritually, and then it's going to be physically. What's that? That Jeremiah 16:16. He shall send for many fishers, and then those fishers shall turn into hunters. Loosely paraphrasing. But I'll pull one more. I'll pull, and I'll just read through it. That's Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. I hate how he puts this in alphabetical order. This is stupid. I'm so used to just hitting it and flipping it. All right. This is Salakia, Sirach. Sirach 36, start at the top. And I'll just read through it, because this is the same things that's being said here. It's the same thing that was said in that Psalms 79. It says, "O Yahweh, Father, O Yahweh by Shemi Shai, of the universe, look upon us, and have mercy." It says, "Make every nation, stand in fear of you." It says, "Take action against the foreign nations." It says, and let them witness your power, because Yahweh Shemi Shai is about to come in a glorious fashion. Okay? The other nations are about to see what a heavenly angelic being looks like. All right? Because they forgot from the past. All right? But now they're about to see it refreshed. Okay? So, verse 4, it says, you have used us, Salakia, you have used us to show them how holy you are. Now use them to show how great you are. All right, because Yahweh Shemi Shai is holy. All right, and He's going to be coming in a glorious fashion to get it in on these heathen. Okay. Verse 5, it says, "Let them learn as we have learned, all right, that there is no power, oh yeah, how about Shemi Shai, but you. All right, so all these idols, everything's gonna be thrown down because they're gonna know that there's no other power but Yahweh by Shemi Shai. You know that it's, it says, uh, give new signs, perform new miracles, show your glorious strength. Because Yahweh Shemi Shai, he's about to open up the armories. Okay, it says, bring on, uh, bring on that appointed time when everyone can talk about the great things you do. It says, pour out your fury, furious, flaming anger, and let none of our enemies uh, survive. It says, destroy those who have oppressed your people. You know, it says, crush all those enemies. It's like it crush all those enemy rulers who think they are the only people in the world who matter. All right, so Yahweh Shemi Shai is about to get busy on Edom and all his kings and princes, uh, Persia, you know, and all their kings and princes. It's going to be in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Yahweh Shai is going to come and crush everybody, and he's going to destroy and flip this whole world on his tail, you know, in 1 hour, because he gave them all the powers that they have. All right, so Yahweh Shemi Shai is about to do it in a glorious, marvelous fashion, you know, and then on top of that, he's going to lift up, you know, the elect to fight with him. All right, the world is going to fight with the elect, with Yahweh Shai, against the enemy. Psalms or Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 21, or not 21. I think it's verse 20. Avaratazah. But Salakia, I didn't want to make this long. Avaratazah, I pray this was edifying to the hopeful elect. And shalom and shalom.